I know. The corporate media was in the pool, in the ocean, in the river, in the lake, in the stream for far too long. And they got a little bit puny. They got impotent. They got flaccid. They shrunk. What's going on here? Well, apparently, there's a change in habits in regards to what consumers consume when they're watching media. Now, we have said before that television is a dying platform, unfortunately. Hey, I remember a time when TV used to be relevant, but in this day and age of the internet, in this day and age of social media, a lot of you and all of us, myself included, consume social media, YouTube, and other content. And now corporate media is trying to dissect what went wrong. Well, first of all, just remember corporate media. It was Trump. It was Trump that gave you that boost. But if you're ready to laugh, if you're ready to see people, especially who earn a six-figure salary, who have that, that corporate media connection, I promise you this. I promise you, it is funny. Shout out to Case Study QB. I don't know how you sit through it, buddy. You're made out of stronger stuff than me. The fast shrinking of the silver screen. Oh, shrinkage. Ladies, don't make fun of corporate TV. Come on. And gentlemen, I expect you to be gentlemen. I expect my audience to be mature in this segment. No jokes, no funny comments. No joke. Or else.
People are staying home. They're streaming. Is that fair?
That is very fair, Willie. They've changed their TV habits in pretty remarkable ways. So if you start with share of television viewing time, and this was one that I don't think most people would know. I must say I was surprised. The single biggest source of what we would call television for people today is actually YouTube. Not even YouTube TV, the pay TV version of YouTube, but simply what's on YouTube gets almost 10% of the audience. And after that, you go to Comcast, and this includes NBC, all of its cable channels and so forth, tied with Netflix at 7.6%. A bunch of the other traditional broadcasters, Paramount, which owns CBS, Disney, which owns ABC, and so forth. And then the other streamers, which look like relatively small numbers. Until
I'm so happy that Disney's at the bottom. And just a side note, I know there's going to be other content creators that will be giving their analysis and point of view. But I did see the pirated episode from The Acolyte, because people were saying that episode 3 was going to be like terrible. Listen, this is not related to the story at all, but Hollywood writers, you can have a woman scissor for a very long time, but no matter how hard they scissor, they cannot create a sperm cell, okay? Because, my goodness, $180 million flushed down the drain for The Acolyte. Star Wars is a dead brand. And look, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I'm a Warhammer 40K fan. But if you're a Star Wars fan, I am so sorry what they did to you guys. I am so sorry. Okay. Yes, Sephiroth. Somehow Disney's on the chart, but don't worry, Disney's going to be irrelevant. But yes, I just had to throw that out there because that episode was a complete disrespect to everything. But apparently, 2 women can make a baby now. I don't know how that happens, but okay. All right. The force, the magic of it all, right? The magic.
So you see what it adds up to. And what it adds up to is streaming going from 2.6% all the way up to 38% of total television viewing time. And where is that coming from? It's coming from, first and foremost, from cable, from those traditional cable channels. The USAs, the Lifetimes, the HGs that people watch literally lost half of their audience in terms of share. And traditional broadcasters have done a bit better. They've lost about a quarter of their audience per share. And I would say in this category, television, cable news has actually held up surprisingly better than the more general interest channels that people used to watch a lot more of.
I think one of the things, and it surprised Steve, and it surprised me as well, but it's part of the media landscape that I think has just snuck up on us. We've all heard of YouTube and, of course, YouTube TV, but YouTube itself, not YouTube TV.
Yes, YouTube, in which corporate media had to worm and bully its way on. Again, just a quick reminder of why corporate media has influence and control over all of the algorithms, because you had a lot of journalists and reporters being a little bit jelly of YouTube content creators, and the fact that people were no longer consuming corporate media for what it once was. Yes, there was a time before 2016, and everybody in corporate media were upset and angry, and they decided to do hit pieces on social media. There was a reason why those adpocalypses took place, because corporate media didn't like it. But hey, here's the thing, corporate media. Even though the algorithm favors you, you do realize that viewers have the right to say, no, I'm not watching you. You do realize that viewers can block you and unsubscribe and dismiss you. And yes, even give you the thumbs down as well. I know, it's very shocking, corporate media. Try not to be easily triggered.
Is such a driving force now in media. And again,
you don't need
not a lot of stories about it, not a lot of discussion about it in media conversations. But what Steve just pointed out there was a surprise to him, surprise to me a couple months ago when I figured out how powerful it is. YouTube, man, it is such a powerful force in the media now.
Meet, say, I don't know, a 14-year-old boy. That's all they're watching is YouTube. They're sitting on their phone or on their tablet and they're watching videos. They're watching YouTube shorts. It's what they do. I mean, I think, honestly, I have teenagers. If I handed my kids the clicker, they wouldn't know how to get to cable.
Stop insulting people, okay? People know how to run a TV remote, okay? What are you talking about? Hey, you know something? Here's an Uno reverse card. You know how to know how to use the YouTubes, huh? Come on.
They just go to streaming or they go to YouTube, and that's what they do. That's how they get their information. So, Steve, this actually gets to your last chart, which is screen time by age, which you found something really interesting, that it's not necessarily young people. Like I mentioned, it's older people who are spending a lot of time with TV anyway.
Yeah, so there's some interesting things in terms of how people's TV habits have changed. First of all, the introduction of all these new services.
Look at that Poindexter. I should be making fun of someone how they look, but it's kind of funny, you know, because what they're doing right now is looking at the corpse that is corporate media and how people are walking away from it.
Services actually hasn't changed the amount of total time people spend in front of their screens by as much as you might guess. It was 8 hours in 2013. That's a pretty incredible number, obviously, but it went up just 30 minutes to 8 hours and 35 minutes by 2023. So what you had was a big shift of a big mix shift. So traditional TV went from 5 hours and 40 minutes to 2 hours and 50 minutes. This is really basically things that came over cable. And this reflects a lot, of course, the cord cutting that's been going on. We've gone from 105 million households with cable to 65 million households with cable since 2010.
So why do you think CNN is always being played at elderly homes or at the hospital? And yes, even at the airport. It's because they're losing the homes. They're losing the people. They're losing viewers.
And cable hit its peak. And then you have this light blue, which is in effect streaming. It's what we call TV connected devices. If you're getting it on your Roku or on your Apple TV or however you're getting it, that has obviously gone up significantly with streaming. Computer time has stayed about the same, and people are spending a heck of a lot more time on their smartphones and their tablets watching television, from an hour to roughly 3 hours. But if you look at it by age, it's also kind of interesting because, a little bit surprisingly to me, our younger friends who we worry about spending too much time with television actually are the lowest of the age cohorts, 6 hours and 30.
Oh, so corporate media was smearing young people for far too long. Gee, who isn't surprised by that? Hey, how come young people aren't going to Applebee's? How come young people aren't buying diamonds? How come young people aren't buying cars? It's because they're lazy or whatever? Or they're always on their smartphones? Well, according to your data there, mister, that's not the case. You ever think about that? Hot shot?
30 minutes a day. And they spend also the least amount of time on traditional television, the fewest cables.
And that is to be expected, of course. What? Yeah, I could see young kids saying, hey, guys, I got to quickly run home and watch Wolf Blitzer on CNN. Bye, guys.
Subscribers. And then they spend roughly an hour and 55 minutes on streaming types of things, similar to the next age group. And then computers have stayed pretty stable at about an hour of time across these age groups. But then you get to the oldest demographic. Sadly, I'm a part of this demographic. And my fellow...
Oh, so it's the elderly that's on their phones. Listen here, old man. Get off that smartphone and touch some grass. Actually, you know what the thing is? That's kind of funny. But then again, too, look, the numbers are increasing for those who use social media.
Elderly, so to speak, are still spending 5.5 hours, 5 hours and 46 minutes to be exact, on, in effect, cable or potentially over the air, but really cable, watching the traditional media, and then roughly, again, a little bit over an hour on streaming. And they spend actually almost as much time on their tablets and phones as the younger people. So it does have a lot of implications, because as people age up, it's unlikely that this group is going to start spending 5 hours and 40.
Exactly. You want to know why? Because they listen to their parents or elderly yell at the TV and say that it's full of shite. R.I.P. to my older relatives. Never was there a day, especially when we were all done eating and we're watching the news, that I didn't have an elderly relative yell at the TV and say that it was bullshit. Who's had that? Who's had that? Who's known a person like that, right? Let's have democracy in the chat. Might warm some hearts. You know, type 1 for Kit. No one yelled at the TV in my household because we listen to the news respectfully. Huh. I guess you like to yell at the TV too, and I do. Oh, I do. A type 2, man. Some of the funniest stuff is ever was when you have people yelling at the TV. It's some fun times.
6 minutes watching television on cable.
Yes, watching corporate media. So what can we take away from this? What can we take away from corporate media right now? They're panicking. They're scared. They're afraid. They're so afraid. What are they afraid of, Kit? Corporate media is afraid that's going to become irrelevant. That's why they need Trump. That's why I'm willing to bet majority of those people at MSNBC and CNN are hoping Trump gets elected, because he was their saving grace in 2016. But there's a difference now. A lot has happened since 2016. The internet has once again shown its true power and influence. Everything's on social media. Corporate media is a dying brand, which is why I'm ever hopeful for the day when these large corporate media monopolies do fall apart, and that we all can give a middle finger to the grave of CNN and MSNBC and CBS and ABC and Fox News. Because for far too long, these corporate media outlets have revealed who they really are, and people see them for what they are, because corporate media is one big lie. It's a joke. It's fraudulent. And it's time for people to walk away from it now more than ever.